My name is Time Smiley. I'm an administrative assistant at the JES. I have a couple of things to go over before we get started. Just some housekeeping, upcoming events, and finally the introduction for our speaker. So firstly, for our housekeeping, if you need any assistance, don't hesitate to ask. We have some volunteers. You can ask me, and we'll be happy to help. Afterwards, there will be a Q&A portion. Just make sure you raise your hand, and please wait until the mic is next to you so you can speak into it. And for our upcoming events, tomorrow at 7 p.m., Dr. Rhonda Matthews will deliver a lecture at our ECAT satellite. Her presentation is titled, "Okay Boomer, How the Baby Boomers Lost a Generation or Why Your Grandkids Stopped Talking to You." That should be a pretty good one. Finishing off the week, on Friday at noon, Paris Baker and Marcus Atkinson will be here. Will be here speaking about 100 Black Men, exploring the history and relevance from the national impact to Erie's chapter. Then next week, Monday at 7 p.m., Richard Arthur will be here at the JES to present Lafayette in Western Pennsylvania, his time on the trail and impact through history. Lastly, I would like to introduce you to our presenter tonight, Dr. Arpan Yagnik. Dr. Yagnik is a renowned expert and coach on fear and creativity. He trains high-ranking generals and officers of the National Defense Forces and senior commandants of Special Forces. Dr. Yagnik is an author of multiple books, columnist, TEDx speaker, and holds a faculty position at Penn State Erie. He has written books on defeating fear, managing instability, enhancing creativity, and improving intergenerational harmony. He was a commissioner on the Pennsylvania Governor's Advisory Commission and has consulted senior leadership and management of several large corporate houses. Let's give Dr. Yagnik a warm JES welcome.
Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Para Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was just paying homage to all the teachers that have taught me something and enabled me and put me in a position to be here. After an hour or 2 hours, you all also might teach me something, and wherever I go next, I'll pay homage to you all as well. So thank you so much for the warm welcome. It is amazing to be here. And I was here maybe 8 or 9 years ago, standing right here. But it's been very long time, and I feel a little sad that so much time has gone by and I have not been able to come back over here. And it is entirely my fault because I keep traveling everywhere, and I spent a whole lot of time outside of the United States every year, dealing with different things and different people, different forces on fear. So I'm happy to be back. Thank you, Ferky, for keeping this going in an amazing fashion. And to Ben and Time for making this happen in a very, very amazing manner. Also, let me tell you that the first time I spoke on fear was very much in Erie. I've gone around the globe, but the very first time I spoke on fear was in Erie on the 4th Street, where there is a senior center. That's where I first spoke about fear, conducted a little workshop, and to do anything for Erie, it gives me joy because this is where I live, this is where I work, although I don't spend much time over here. So today, I want to sensitize you to fear. I'm sure you all have experienced it or know about it from your first-hand experiences. But then there are certain things that we all need to know and understand about it. Let me tell you a little story. I have a very odd relationship with water. When I was in my second grade, that's when I was first introduced to a swimming pool and I took lessons in swimming. I did what I did. Then when I grew up, when I was in my 8th grade, I took swimming lessons. Didn't enjoy it. Then did swimming for an entire year in that same pool with the same teachers. Still not very good. I don't know. The moment I put my head underwater, I feel like a big shark is going to come and bite my leg off. Maybe I watched Jaws. I don't know. But the moment my head goes underwater, and then I start panicking. So as life moved on, I decided to come to the US to do my PhD. And I was not in Florida where the ocean is close by or anything. I did my PhD in our neighboring state, Ohio, pretty much a landlocked state. And I started working with myself. For about 3 years, I worked with myself that I am going to go to the swimming pool in our rec center, and you can jump. I was going to jump into the deep end of the swimming pool. So I worked with myself for about 3 years while I was doing my PhD on the side. And then finally that day came. I was very pumped and I was excited because it was going to jump into that water, into the deep side. And so I go, and then, as soon as I enter the pool area, I look for, where's the lifeguard? Okay, there he is. So I go up to him, say, hey. He's like, hey buddy, what's up? I said, I'm going to jump into the pool. So I said, I'm going to do it. He said, oh great, yeah. Then he was like, what are you trying to say here? I said, you better keep an eye on me. I'm going to do that. So he said, what? You don't know how to swim? No, of course I know. I have taken lessons twice, thrice in my life. Okay, then why are you telling me? Just go. I said, how long are you going to be here? He said, I have 40 minutes until my shift gets over. Okay. I'm going. He's like, okay, go. So I go, and then I look. And then there are two. One is that, spring one, the lesser height one, and one is so it's like this. And I'm standing here, and I said, nah, I'll just go with the spring one, start slow, baby steps. That's what they call. So I go to the edge of it, and I'm standing, It's like it keeps moving. There is a little spring action. I'm like, today I'm going to jump. I'm going to overcome my fear. My head will go down. Maybe there'll be a shark, but I know there is no shark over here. I can see clean, nothing. I can see the tiles. It's blue. Everything is blue. I'm going to jump. This is the day when I'm going to have to write a diary, mark this date. All this is happening. Suddenly I have a tap on my shoulder. I said, yes. It was that same lifeguard. Hey man, are you going to jump or not? I said, yeah, I want to. Then go ahead. My shift ended 10 minutes ago. I said, what? My shift ended. I am the last lifeguard for today. Do you want to jump or not? I said, no. "50 minutes. I was just standing. 50 minutes. I had no idea of how fast time went. But look at my misery. 50 minutes I could not jump like maybe 3 feet. I was thinking about all these different things. How am I going to fight the shark in case if it appears in the middle of rural Ohio? You know? And still could not jump. 50 minutes. Now think about it. I was a PhD student, which means I had some level of education. I was mildly intelligent. I was there on a full scholarship. Mildly intelligent. I was there on a full scholarship. And I was studying menstruation, a deep stigma and a deep taboo. I ended up becoming pretty much the only person on the planet with expertise in the role of mass media in destigmatizing the menstrual taboo. But those 3 years, so I had some knowledge, I had some understanding. And I knew that I am in a landlocked state. I am in the middle of cornfields. I am in a university, in a rec center. This is an indoor swimming pool. A shark cannot come here. I knew it. I knew it. And still I could not. What I'm trying to communicate to you in the very beginning of this is that knowledge and fear have a weird relationship. I knew it, but I still could not do it. And do keep this in mind that knowledge and fear have a weird relationship. Growing up as a child, I was afraid of the dark. I would not go from one room to another room. And over the summers, we would go to our grandparents' home. It's a big home, 14 rooms and different floors. And they would ask, oh, go get this, do this. There are so many things. I just could not go. And I had to go and then turn on the switch. And once it is light, then I could go. And even then, I was not sure. Fear is a motivator as well as an inhibitor. Fear motivates us to do things, and it inhibits or stops us, prevents us from doing things, living life. My focus is on that part of fear, which prevents us from being happy, which prevents us from actualizing our potential. Fear makes us do things that we would otherwise not have done. Making certain life choices. Fear controls our thoughts, actions, and decisions. If you break it down, it controls and at times dictates our thoughts, then our decisions, and then our actions. So there are so many things that people can be afraid of. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of being judged, fear of not being enough, fear of missing out, FOMO, you may have heard of it. Many people have fear of driving. I work with such a vast range of people, very accomplished people. These are high-powered individuals. But then when I lift the curtain, it's a different reality. The way they struggle with fears, their entire lives revolve around it. So at this point, I'm going to take a brief pause. I'm going to give you maybe a minute to just think and reflect about the different fears that have contributed negatively to your life. I want you to think about the different fears that have stopped you from doing things, that have harassed you, that have kidnapped a certain aspect of your life and never allowed you to do that. So I'll give you maybe 1 minute, and you can think of 3. There can be more, but at least 3 different types of fear that have held you back in your life. Okay. Fifteen more seconds. Okay. Thank you for going down that lane. It's not easy at times. Brings back many things. Take about 7 minutes, not more, but maybe you can get in groups of 2 or 3 or 4, and just try and share the different fears and make sure that everyone is heard and you listen to what the different fears are troubling other people. So if you can, just move and get into groups or 3 or 4, just turn your chair around and just maybe share the fears. 7 minutes. Okay. I will invite you all to come back. I'm happy to see that when the conversations started, the room was quite tense. But then as we came towards the end of the conversation, there are quite a bunch of smiling and laughing faces. Would love to hear from maybe a few people, if you can quickly summarize or brief about the different types of fears that you heard from the different people and you yourself. Maybe a few of you would like to share that from different groups. Many people have that fear. Yeah, so then you'll get the mic over there.
So I had a good 6 or 8 or 10 to pick from, but the one that popped first into my mind is and this has been with me all my life, and I know exactly why the fear is there, but I described it as the fear of running out of important things. And it directly relates back to being poor and being old enough to know it until I was into my late teens kind of thing. And I'm talking about stuff like toothpaste, TP, food items, whatever. And as a result, even though I now can pretty much get anything I want anytime I want it, I have to have backups, a toothpaste that's open, one that's there, backup, and then another one so that when I go to get the one, there's still one there. And I apply that to all kinds of things in my life, and it's directly related. So it's a fear of running out. And of course, some of those can be more serious. These are just silly examples, but the sense of running out of important resources.
Did you run out of something at one point?
Oh God, yes. Yes, that's why. Well, when you don't have any TP, for instance, and you're using cut-up newspaper squares, for instance, okay, that's just one silly little example. But yes, they seemed very important at the time. So, like I said, I could think of much more serious examples that, I'm not going to share at the moment. But
please do.
That's a funny. Well, I can't because I can't even think of what they are. I just know they're there. I'd have to give some thought to them.
Okay.
But
Thank you. Thank you.
So I dated after we broke up.
Two things that came up in our discussion. One is the fear of heights. It's definitely changed my life because I didn't used to be afraid of heights, and something after chemo left me not balanced anymore. And I think that's the problem. And another thing, another big one for our group was fear of dying. Especially having outlived some of my peers. That's a problem now.
No, dying.
That's iconic.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that is a big one. Maybe one or two more, and then we can proceed. Yeah.
That's okay. I don't care.
These ladies have a fear of public speaking.
A lot of people do.
Fear of failure at work, making mistakes. The fear of talking to strangers. These ladies were very welcoming to me. I was able to talk to them. Fear of bullies. I had to work with bullies at times, and you never know how far they go. And a fear of authoritarian figures.
Thank you. One more. Yeah, about that. Yeah.
I guess just the fear of hurting others' feelings.
Oh, yeah.
Just especially family members, their reactions. So I'm afraid to do something and go ahead. And someone in my group even said low self-esteem, and I said, yeah, unfortunately, I think I'm at a point where they kind of robbed me at that self-esteem. And how did they do that? And I'm afraid to do certain things.
Thank you. That's tough.
Yes.
It's tough. Because then that's a battle of every moment. Just before I move on, did anybody else want to say or share? Okay. Yeah, sure, please. There's one more.
I too had the fear of making new friends and being in new situations. And I am extremely grateful that you asked us to do this very thing in small groups, because some of us shared that kind of thing, and I realized sort of the ice all melted as we talked.
Thank you. Usually when we do this, a couple of things happen, okay? And I'm going to fast forward a little bit over here because we are gathering for a limited time. But one of the things that happens is the realization that everyone has fears. I'm not alone. One of the things that fear does, it secludes us. It isolates us in believing that my fear, nobody else shares it. This is my signature fear. Oftentimes, that fear becomes your identity. And we have seen some examples over here of how that fear itself shapes and becomes your identity, and it is so tightly woven that you don't even want to get out of it. The other thing that happens, and we have had limited time, but is that there are so many unique, weird, and funny things that people are afraid of. And when we listen to other people's fears, like, oh, why would anybody be afraid of that? Right? That's not something to be afraid of. And we also start giving people advices. Oh, it's very easy. You just do this and that fear goes away. I'm sure in these small groups also you may have received some advice. The moment you share it, don't worry about it. That's just nothing. Other people's fears are either funny or no fears. Like, oh, that's nothing to be afraid of. You're just making it up. You just want some more attention. You just want everyone to, keep pampering you. Also, it is very easy to solve other people's fears. That's why we keep giving advices to people. Oh, don't just do this. We have all the different creative solutions for other people, but not for us. So today, I want to, sensitize you that we need to work with our own selves. And I'm not here to make you free of fear. That's not possible. It's an ideal state. But what we want to do at least today, or take the first step towards, is that we identify that these are the different fears. This is how they take over my life. And we understand that there is a tipping point. Once that threshold is crossed, that fear starts taking over your system. It overwhelms you. It paralyzes you. Okay? It stops some of the functions within your body that you are not even aware of. So we want to be able to identify that this particular fear is about to cross that threshold. We are going to come and defeat it. And we have that ability within us. There are 3 ways. And when I work with defense forces, these are individuals. If they are afraid, hundreds of thousands of people and their lives are at stake. They just simply cannot be afraid. I work with mothers. There are mothers who hold on to their children so tightly that the growth, the flourishing of the child is stunted. And the mother is not coming from a wrong place. Mother wants to do the best in protecting the child, but in that does not realize that. I work with business people. Many of you also said fear of failure. Entrepreneurs, successful business folks, successful business leaders, they are much more afraid of, in my experience, fear of success than fear of failure. Somehow they have digested, oh, failure, nothing, I'll do this. But what they cannot deal with is what happens after I succeed. They can't see that. So then their inner battle starts. So everybody has fears. You are not alone. Okay. It is also possible that here you may have known this person maybe for the last 20 years or 15 years or 10 years. But then when you get to know a person through their fears, it's the best way to know a person. It's the most authentic way to know a person. When you know them through their fears. I was once invited, it was a private gathering in a home. Like just think of a Thanksgiving dinner. There are like 25, 30 people in a family, some family friends. They knew each other for like 40 years. But then after we did certain exercises, they were like, I never knew my own family members. I never knew that my nephew was suffering from this or my grandfather was going through this. We usually don't care to indulge in those things. We usually don't go to the depth where we can authentically know the person, be there for them. Okay? So, other people's fears are funny. My fear is the big, bad, bold fear that exists. I am alone. No, that's not. Everybody, there is nobody here that does not have a fear that has taken over their life in some way or the other. So now let us shift gear and understand a little why do we have these fears. It helps us stay alive. It is linked to our survival. Unfortunately, to a great degree, not our, as in those of us who are existing in this moment, not our survival. Fear of certain natures, they allowed and enabled our ancestors who were wandering in the savannah and Africa. Fear kept them alive. They needed to know. There are some ancient fears, such as fear of snake. Even apes share that. Apes that were born in captivity, raised in captivity, the moment they are exposed to a snake, they feel the panic, they feel the terror, and they will distance themselves. So, one of the things that we need to know as today's human beings is that there is something called a seeing is believing heuristic. There is, let's say, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it is a duck. Seeing is believing. That's how we have learned to navigate this world. But now, we live simultaneously in the real world as well as a manufactured world. A world of symbols. A world of imagined realities. Our brain does not know that. We have not evolved as fast. So oftentimes, some of our fears are because of that ancient hardwiring. Some of it is because of ignorance. When we are afraid of something, it's because we don't want to experience an unfavorable outcome. I'm afraid of going and talking to strangers because if I go and if they don't respond, or if they say something like, hey, I'm not interested in talking to you, it might hurt my feelings. So there is an inherent risk avoidance behavior within all of us. We want to avoid certain risks. We want to avoid unnecessary risks. But it gets so much jumbled in our heads that oftentimes we know that this is not good for me, we know this is working through me, and still we cannot do anything about it. We are in that limbo. One of the things that as you go back today you need to be aware and know about is that, is fear a guest in my life or a host of my life? You have already made a list of the different fears, right? Some of you have written it down, some of you remember it. Make a list and right next to it put, is this particular fear a guest in my life or a host of my life? A guest has limited power, has limited agency. A guest comes to your home, you welcome, and then when it's time, the guest has to leave. If the guest does not, you have the power to kick them out, right? But a host has a different set of powers. A host is not going away. So if a fear has become a host of your life, then you will need a bit more work. But if it's a guest, then we can work and quickly kick it out. Okay? So first, to understand whether a particular fear is a guest or a host, that we need to know. Now I'm going to share a very important critical piece of information. So if you want to make a note of it, you can. Fear is a subjective reality. I'm going to break it down, but you want to remember this. You want to keep it in your minds and hearts all the time. Fear is a subjective reality. There are 4 people in a home. It's a family of 4. And there is a spider. All the 4 people react differently to that spider. They are of the same family, they are the same blood, same ancestry, same DNA, same last name. Still, all the 4 react differently to a spider. Some will jump and run away. Others will go towards the spider and kill it. Fear is subjective reality. Many of you said, I'm afraid of public speaking. Well, then why are some people so comfortable being here? Why are some people who are able to overcome that? By the way, public speaking is a complex fear, like sunflower is a complex flower. A sunflower is made up of many flowers. So public speaking, fear of public speaking is a complex fear. There are so many different fears. Fear of saying something wrong, fear of forgetting, fear of whatever you say not being enough, fear of something else going wrong, fear of blanking out, and fear has a direct physical impact on you. Your palms start getting sweaty, you start sweating, sometimes your legs start shivering. There is a slightly enhanced version to fear, and many of you would have heard it. It's called panic. Panic attacks. Unfortunately, like a large segment of humanity suffers from these. From children to seniors, everyone in between. Panic attack. What is panic attack? What happens when panic sets in? When panic sets in, the connection of your brain to your body is cut. Right now, if my hand is here and I want to move my hand, I can. But if I'm going through a panic attack, my hand is here and I want to move it, my brain wants to move it, the signal is never going to reach over here and I will not be able to move it. That's panic. You freeze. Panic attack, there are people, I have sat with them for 45 minutes. Why? Because they are experiencing severe panic attack and they cannot breathe. Everything shuts down. In that moment, the brain decides, oh, it is not even worth living. So naturally, muscles and everything gets tensed up and you cannot even breathe. And you bring them back. That's panic. A cousin of mine lives in California, Silicon Valley, Bay Area, has 2 lovely daughters. She's a school teacher. Every day she picks those 2 daughters and drives on the interstate to get to their home, 35-minute drive. Suddenly what happened? Something triggered. And the moment there was a slowdown, or if the traffic had stopped, she would start becoming anxious and panic would set in. Imagine a 35-year-old mother and 2 young daughters, 4th grade, 7th grade. When panic, you cannot brake, you cannot accelerate, you are stuck. You are a danger to yourself and to people around you. We had a system that every day, because she was in California, she would get done at 4 o'clock. So every day from 7 to 7:35, I would make myself available. And I would talk to her through those 35 minutes. And if there was slowdown, my role, my job was to ensure that I keep her distracted. I keep her, in her senses so that panic does not set in. Fear is a subjective reality. Along with her, there were thousands of other cars and other people driving those cars, and nothing was happening to them. But something was happening to her which made her go through that panic. I was working with a bunch of special forces, and some of you mentioned height. In that group, let's say if there was a group of 100 people, 60 of them were afraid of heights. And they were in the fighting force, and they were going, 80% of them were going to be stationed in the mountains. Now, who are they going to fight? The enemy or their own fear? It's like giving someone a boat with a bunch of holes. Are you going to row the boat or keep emptying the boat? That's what fear is. But the amazing thing is that it is a subjective reality. And I keep coming back to subjective reality. If it were objective reality, all the 4 people in the home would be equally either afraid or not of that spider. By the way, Indians are not afraid of spiders. Americans especially are afraid of spiders. Indians are afraid of lizards and cockroaches. It's funny. From region to region, profession to profession, age group to age group, there are certain fears. Okay? There was one gentleman, he was a bureaucrat. He said, Professor, 28 years ago, I was responsible for irrigation. And who would get drinking water? And we would get percentages of how successful this project is going to be or not. I was afraid of my political bosses. One particular project that had high success rating, I did not approve because I was in fear of my political bosses then. Today, I'm talking about 2 months ago, he told me that today, because of that decision, there are hundreds of thousands of people who don't have water connection. They are still living where they have to walk for 5 miles to get water. And I have to live with the guilt. Every time I pick up a glass of water to drink water, I am reminded of those hundreds of thousands, those 3 districts, those 3 counties in which water has not yet reached. I keep living with that guilt. I don't know how I'm going to die with that guilt. I'm dying every day anyways. This is what fear does. And what we want to do is not let this happen to us anymore. And therefore we need to know which fear is a guest, which fear is a host. Regardless of it being a guest or a host, it is a subjective reality. It is subjective, which means everybody experiences it differently. But it is still a reality because the person going through that is experiencing it. It's like, oh, what's there to be afraid of that? No, but that person is experiencing it. It is that person's reality. To create a backup of a backup of a backup, it takes us so much mental energy. Imagine that for every little thing. We can't even imagine that. And they're like, oh, well, toothpastes are available every day. You can go and pick one every day if you want. What's the big deal? But that's that person's reality. That's why it's a subjective reality. It's not objective because we all don't do backups of backups of backups. We don't have those triggers. We don't have those traumas. So fear is a subjective reality. And we have it within us to be able to defeat fear in the moment. Okay? There are different ways. Psychologists and psychiatrists, they do phased exposure. Like if you are afraid of something, then slowly and surely they will expose you to something in a protected area, and then increase the exposure. Or sometimes they often say, if you're afraid of swimming, just jump, go. Your will to survive will make you swim. Yeah, well, my will to survive made me swim down. I tried, but then I panicked. The moment you panic in water, you are, boom, gone. You exhaust within seconds. Just 4 days ago, I walked for 8 miles. But in water, I exhaust myself in a few seconds. It's the same me. How is that possible? Again, I come back. Fear is a subjective reality. And now I'm going to explain a slightly different dimension. Yes, there are all these fears within you, but they don't harass you, trouble you, control you all the time. When you are sleeping, it does not bother you, maybe. Or when you are doing something else, if there is a distraction, then you forget about it, but then suddenly you are reminded about it. There are triggers all around, or there are certain specific triggers the moment you see that. Some people, when they see a tornado, they are afraid. Oftentimes, especially after 9/11, so many people are afraid of flying. I know that in Erie, in my first talk, there was a lady, she had not flown since 9/11. And she had a grandnephew's wedding in California. And they're like, oh, we are going to drive for 4 days. My legs are going to be swollen, but I'm not going to fly. Same person is not always afraid of the same thing all the time. If there is a distraction, you forget it, then it comes back. Subjective reality. This is what I would love for you to keep thinking about. It's a subjective reality. How is it working through me? Have I identified enough? So, like for someone who does not do well with strangers, what does that stranger symbolize that triggers you? Every stranger, every unknown person either brings back a memory that you want to avoid or presents a risk that you don't want to take. And what happens is that our brain has a tendency to go towards the negative side only. We send someone a message, we call them, and they don't answer, like, oh, something must have happened. My God, what if they are in accident? What if they are there? 3 days ago, I was coming back from Canada. 4 people called me. Please tell us after you cross the border. Crossing the border, immigration, huge source of fear at the moment. Many of you like, hey, what's there? I mean, we've go to Canada like 50 times. Sometimes we've gone without our passports as well, and they still let us go and come back. But then there are other people, suddenly they start shivering, trembling. They will give wrong answers. Some people are afraid of syringes, or when they have to get their blood work done. They can't look. They become so tense and it hurts even more. Fear is a subjective reality. Psychologists, psychiatrists deal with it, slow exposure, or just push them in. The other thing that helps tremendously, and that depends on person to person, is their faith. Faith in God, faith in their leader, faith in their parent, faith in something supreme, in something bigger. Oftentimes when I work with these leaders, they ask me, so Professor, what do you think? Who is a leader? I said, I have a simple definition for that. It's like what? A person in whose presence all your fears dissolve and evaporate is a leader. That is a leader. A child runs towards the parents. A child never feels any fear in the presence of the parent unless the parent says, If the parent induces fear, that's a different thing. But a child feels fear-free in the presence of parents, certain teachers, siblings, right? You also like when my boss is amazing, he's going to deal with this. I don't have to. So that person, now we're talking about people, but many people have faith in God, in deities. That also helps them overcome fear. Hey, I have my God. This might just be a test. I have faith in Him. He's going to take care of it all. He's going to make it all good. He has had to endure much more than I am. There are different ways it manifests, be it Christianity, Islam, Hinduism. Tomorrow is the birth anniversary of, there is a religion called Jainism. It has come out of Hinduism. And Mahavir Jain, who started the equivalent of Jesus, when he wrote his text, it was exclusively on fearlessness. The text that he wrote, that we often do philanthropy, we often do charity. He says the best way, the best form of philanthropy and charity is to give people a place, a position, a space where there is no fear. We have elections coming up. Would we all not love to live in a fear-free Erie, where we don't have to be afraid of anything? The police is afraid of people, people are afraid of police. The residents are afraid of the refugees are afraid of residents. You are afraid to send your child out and play. You have to keep an eye. You are afraid to walk in the night. A fear-free Erie would be such an amazing place to live. Don't vote on issues. Vote on the person, the candidate, who is going to ensure through his or her policies, actions, going to make Erie a fear-free city. Would we all not want to live in a United States where there is no fear? No fear of external terrorism, domestic terrorism, crime, so on and so forth. How many of you, please raise your hand, have a security system in your home? 1, 2, 3. We spend so much on security systems because there is fear. Fear is being sold to you. There are those signs that you put in yard, then you can sleep well. There are so many people who will go and lock their doors, all the windows. That's their routine in the night. They will make sure that they are in a bunker and then go to sleep. We are the only entity that does that, by the way. Because there is a fear. Fear is a subjective reality. I'll come to one of the last points that I want to share today. What is that one time when fear absolutely escapes and evaporates? This was the question that I started with, and about 2-3 years I did my research, and the one moment, the one time when there is no fear in any atom of human body is when a person is laughing. Laughing out loud, rolling on floor, laughing. When you are doing that, no fear. The chemical constitution in your head is such when you are laughing that there is no place or space for fear in your existence. When I go and meet people and ask them that how much have you laughed in the last 1 week? We are living a laughter-less existence. So many people, they just don't laugh or smile. Their ability to smile, laugh is just gone. They have maybe taken too much load. They have taken themselves too seriously. The world, the occurrences of the world, changes in leadership a bit too seriously or whatever. And I don't mean to say that you should not take those things seriously. You should. But can't let them overwhelm and take the smile away from your life. Everybody having a straight face, it's like being a rainbow with only one color. What kind of a rainbow would that be? A rainbow has to have 7 colors, then only it's a rainbow. I was interacting with students and I realized that there were some students that had not even laughed for 5 minutes in the last 3 months. Imagine what it does to your system. Now also, I'm not saying that you have to keep laughing for 8 hours out of 24. You just cannot. Physically, you don't have the muscular ability to do that. But guess what? So far, your brain has fooled you. Your brain is fooling you by presenting all these different fears. It's about time that you take back your agency and fool your brain. Your brain can be fooled, right? Please do know that your brain can be fooled. It can be fooled to believe things that don't exist. And that's why we are so attached to our imagined realities instead of actual realities. So you can fool your brain to be in a state where you are laughing internally. It takes a little bit of training, but this is the easiest way. Faith is hard to achieve, that level of absolute surrender, because we always keep doubting and questioning and doubting and questioning. Our faith is not that solid anymore in this age. It used to be, but whatever different reasons, it has weakened. So to get that absolute level of faith is very hard. But to get this laughter is much more easier. The last way is that of absolute knowledge, the path of non-duality. We are always afraid of something else. There is a duality. There is fear and then there is me. Once you have studied enough, your cognitive maturity has happened. So what do I mean by cognitive maturity? You go to a birthday party with maybe your child, your grandchild, and there is a balloon, and you give that balloon to your grandchild. And the person is so happy, that little baby, and is playing, and then suddenly, boom, the balloon bursts. The baby starts crying, where, my balloon, and you are like, it's just a balloon, I'll get you another one, there's no need to cry. That's cognitive maturity. You know that, oh, it's just a balloon, you can get another one, but the child in that moment feels like its entire existence is gone. My balloon is gone. The same grandparent or parent who was telling those things to the child about the balloon, next day when the stock market crashes, the balloon of the stock market crashes, my balloon, my portfolio. Cognitive maturity. Once you have that cognitive maturity, you know that that balloon is not important, but the child does not. So similarly here, and there is a slightly knowledge-driven way, intellectual-driven way to get to that. But when you achieve that, fear will stop bothering you absolutely. There will be just no existence of fear, because fear is, there is something other. It comes from other. There is no duality. This is non-duality. I'm not going to go deeper into it to confuse you, because we don't have that kind of time to go further. But there are different techniques and methods The easiest one, laugh. Fool your brain that's laughing. When 4 people call you and tell you, please be careful, while crossing the border, they are detaining people left, right, and center. And you are crossing that border at like 12:30 in the midnight. You are the only one. If you disappear, nobody's going to know. You have watched enough movies where you have seen certain things. That thought does cross you. Oh, just 5 kilometers away, 4 kilometers away, just 500 meters away. Should I turn back and go to Canada? Come in broad daylight where there are, But you defeat that fear. You have that ability. I have that ability that I can defeat fear. And that's why I come and go to places and talk about it. I go to it. I go to the border. 27 seconds. I was out. 27 seconds. And those extra, I think 10 seconds was because whatever he was saying, I made him repeat it twice. I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? So he had to repeat it. It was quite far and there were 2 windows in between. And so I could not understand. What did you say? Okay, what did you say? 27 seconds. And I was like, that balloon. So people also provide you with that. Fear is a subjective reality. There are different ways to overcome it, but it can be overcome. Symbols, how your brain is fooling you, needs to be understood. How it is presenting triggers. The moment you transform, you reframe the triggers. Some of those existing things, instead of becoming sources of frustration, can become sources of fascination. So you need to have that joy. And right now, I think, other than that intellectual pursuit, the faith, I think what the world needs most immediately is laughter. So laugh and help other people laugh. The last thing that I want to tell you is, for you all today, you have joined this community, this tribe that is dedicated to defeating fear. How are you going to do it? Is by becoming a check dam. We have check dams, which restricts certain flow of water and certain other things. We are going to ensure starting today, you are going to ensure starting today, that you are not inducing fear in the life of others. While there are other things, other situations, other people, other entities that are inducing fear on you, you also have to ensure that you are not inducing the same for others. Is your presence or absence creating panic in lives of others? So today, you have to decide that my presence or my absence has to be a source of laughter and not a source of panic or terror. I don't want to be a terrorist where my presence or my absence, sometimes we give such a hard time to so many other people and we are blind to it. We have to be check dams. We cannot let fear pass through us. We cannot let fear pervade through us. We cannot allow other people to be afraid on our behalf. So that's the promise that I want you to make to yourself, and life will change subtly. A river changes course every year, every season, and that meandering is important. So when you go back from here, a new meandering, a new season of meandering will start for you, where fear is not going to decide or dictate the course of your life and of all the flora and fauna around you. Not going to let that happen. So with that, we can have some Q&A, but I'm just going to conclude this. So thank you all so very much for your presence. It is very precious to me. Something that is even more precious is your participation. You participated. You gave me your attention. You gave everybody in this room some more attention. You participated. You shared. you made yourself vulnerable, and it takes a lot of courage, be it in your known groups or unknown groups. So thank you all so very much. And Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. If there are any clap for yourself for starting a journey in defeating fear. You all have taught me something. So that's amazing. And if there are some questions to which I can maybe give some answers, I will be happy and pleased. You have a question? Yeah, David. So.
I always believed fear was born out of experience. You experienced pain, and so you were forever fearful. Or you were taught to learn. It's a learned thing. And an expression I've often heard was, "Do the thing you fear." So it's there's no. I don't swim because I took swimming lessons and I hyperventilated in the pollywog class. There was a pollywog, the fish, and the minnow. No, the minnow and the fish. And I would never get out of the pollywog class because I hyperventilated in the water because my two older brothers used to dunk me when we would go to the peninsula.
Yeah.
Fooling around, So it's a learned thing, I thought, always.
Yes, it is also a learned thing based on your experiences.
Yes.
Because you want to avoid those bad memories. That's risk avoidance.
Yeah, that's it's triggered by pain, I think.
Yes, yeah. Triggers, avoiding, you want to avoid that. So you're absolutely right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. Yes, please.
I was wondering if you've written a book or articles or anything, and if not, do you know of a book that would really go in depth on the principles you're talking about? Because I know some people who could really use it, who have severe, debilitating anxiety-type attacks and related things as well. And they're the type that would read it and maybe get something out of it.
I can leave my card here. You can get in touch with me. Oh, you have my email over there?
Just your name.
Yeah, so that's why I'll leave my card. You can then contact me and I'll send you some maybe titles or the things that I've written or whatever. Yeah.
Hi, I actually have two questions. Number
Please.
one, have you ever managed to go underwater without a fear attack? Have you gotten over that fear?
Okay, what's the second question?
The second question is there some sort of in-the-moment technique that you can give us for if you are experiencing
yeah.
a sudden fear washing over you? Is there some little thing like, pulling your earlobe or something that can...
Absolutely. So first thing, the not being able to jump was in maybe 2013. After that, I was able to swim. I have, done a little bit. And I grew a great deal of confidence that I could swim. And because of that, in 2023, in peak summer, I was in Switzerland. And one of the amazing things that they do in Switzerland is they jump in rivers and travel for miles and miles. For those of you who know, that's how they go to their office and come back and whatnot. They avoid traffic by just jumping in river. They put their work clothes in a bag. They have those special bags and they just jump from the bridge and then swim for 14 kilometers and they are at their home. So there is this river called Are River in Bern. I was in the canton of Bern, the city of Bern. And I was taking a walking tour, and the guide said that, oh, this is RA River, and look, all these people, there are hundreds of people, just floating in the river. And they're like, but please do know that this is for expert swimmers only. There are a few reasons for that. The first reason is that the flow of water is very fast. The water flows at around 20 to 22 kilometers an hour. That's very fast. I cannot even run that fast. Okay? So it's very fast. So things have to happen very fast. Two, this water is coming from the mountains. So it's very cold. There is a real risk of hypothermia if you're not. And in some places there are those swirls. People over there, they are trained that if you get caught in a swirl, you don't fight it. You actually go down and down with it and then come out. It's better. But it's counterintuitive. So you would not want to do that. You would ideally want to fight it. I was with a friend of mine and I said, well, I would love to do this. I have developed some confidence. And I got into the water, and that water was really fast. So I came out. I had that bag, and luckily there was those pool balls that you have. I had put a pool ball in my bag. Then I started, the river swept me and I was going. And when the river goes this fast, it's like so, and I was wearing my glasses as well, because if I'm not wearing my glasses, so I wear my glasses in swimming pool as well. I want to be able to see clearly. That's maybe my need. That's my safety. If I'm not seeing well, that, I don't know, the shark might come from somewhere else. And then something happened, and then this one thing, whoosh, I go in the water. I had that. And I start panicking. I was not going to drown, but I was in the hands of that mighty river. So I had no control over the speed, the direction, nothing. I start panicking, and I know certain things that start happening, so I was countering them. And my friend was way ahead. So he then shouted, says, hey, how are you doing? I don't know, I got very American then. So, I'm not having too much fun over here, being euphemistic. Otherwise we are very direct. Here people they are so nice that they'll euphemize everything, make it softer. Yeah, I'm not having fun. He didn't get the cue. So, and then we're going, and then I started losing the grip. And then what I saw is that I was wearing the bag like this, and I see that strap. That green color strap, it falls off here. I had not lost it, but I'm like, oh boy, if the other strap, strap. That's when I really panicked, and I said, I need to get out. My friend went, and we tried to get out at one place. No, we could not. And then there was another place, because you cannot get out anywhere. The river is so fast. And so I start going towards the side. There is no way to see. There are big boulders underneath. My feet are getting boom, boom, and I have no clue how to stop myself. It was a bad situation. And then at one point my friend goes, and then I was able to go towards him. There was a railing. I caught hold of that railing. So the railing is here. I go, and then I catch hold. My friend is standing over there. And then this thing pulls me. So my friend is under the water. He's under the water. I just, that superhuman grip that takes over you. It was my life. I was holding on to it. And my friend is drowning over there, cannot come up for air. There is water coming. And he's gasping, and I see it. In that moment, I could not let go of that grip. I said, if I let go of the grip, I wanted to. I put myself in a proper situation. I still could not let go of it. And this fellow, poor, who came to save me, is gasping for it. Finally, I was able to let go. I wanted to let go it, but I still cannot. Finally, I let go of it. See, even right now, and he comes out, he is bloody because he suffered so much more injuries trying to save me, and plus he was out of breath. After that, I have decided not to try my luck with water. I did enter a pool after that, but it was 4 feet only. I am 6 feet. This was in Houston. I did put my head under, I did that, but that was it. I mean, I can, if needed. There's another story, but I don't know if I want to. My girlfriend and I, we were in Italy. And they take you to that, what is that famous island? Those 2 rocks and Capri Island. And then there are those 2 rocks and you go to the blue grotto and the green grotto and and all that. I knew my ability, so I was wearing, what is that called? Not seatbelt, but life jacket. She was also wearing it. But I knew my limitations. And there is current in the Mediterranean. So I was very close to the boat. I knew that if I go further, the current will take me. She didn't know. So she goes and she's like, hey, I'm going farther away. Hey, I'm going farther away. I said, I cannot do anything about it. I don't have the ability in me to come save you and drag you. So I started away from her towards the boat. Because the only thing that I could think was that I need to get to the boat and ask the captain or someone to go. She had life jacket, so she was not going to drown. But going further and further, and there are boats coming and going, So I go to the boat and I get up, and I'm like, you please go and save her. That fellow, like a Batman or Superman, just zoop goes and brings her back. I said, I lost my girlfriend that day. She's like, you did not come for me. You went away the other side. But she didn't know I had no ability. And if I had gone, that person had to save 2 people. So water is not really my friend, but is not my foe as well. Something quick. When fear starts, that blood drains So today, if I have to walk in, I'm like, I don't know who is going to come. I have not spoken to the Jefferson audience in 7-8 years. And I'm talking about a topic that can be very esoteric, very profound, and with no real answers at times, or with answers that don't sit well with people. So then I have to change myself to say things that you would like, instead of say things that are actually true. There is always this. Teachers also face that because students are going to review them, rate them. Should I be afraid of how you are going to review me? I know by now, heck no. I'm here to give you what I have with the purest of my intention and heart. How you receive it is up to you. So that fear. But how do you get over that in that moment? When you start experience that change, either it's a distraction. So when we do the lengthy workshops, we create certain verbal cues that the moment you say that, it takes you in a different zone. So you can create a certain verbal cue. There is that famous movie, an old movie about Orient, the king and King and I, there they say if you sing a song, you hum a tune and nobody will know that you are afraid. Happy, yeah. So there's that as well. So that. But a good way in that very moment is to just start laughing. Don't care about the world around you. The moment you laugh, the chemical composition, it will change. Force that laughter. It can be a forced laughter because your brain doesn't know whether the laughter is forced or not. So in that moment, the moment you see, there are other things, but you require somebody else to take you through it. So the only way is just start laughing, because anyways, you going through that is a maddening experience. Why not just go through this maddening experience? So just laughing out loud, it will change the chemical. It's an entire chemical game if you look at it. Something has triggered, chemical composition changes, you freeze, panic, become smaller than who you are. You want to laugh and make yourself bigger, erase that, defeat that chemical. So quickly laugh. There is also another thing that, again, we didn't get to cover, that fear actually has no form or shape. Things that don't have a form or a shape, they naturally give us the creeps. We are not able to defeat things or overcome things or fight with things that don't have a form. If an enemy does not have a form, so a big exercise is to give fear a form, although there is no form. So once you actually give fear a form, initially it will be a big form. With practice, it will become a small form, which you can, just that little bug that you can trample on. So there are some of these things that in that moment can come to your help. Laughter, giving it a form, because otherwise fear has no form, no shape. Laughter, giving a form, or a crazy strong distraction that can jolt you. But that is more external than from within. So, but if you catch it earlier, you can give yourself a distraction. Yeah. I hope that helps. If not, you can always get in touch and we can go through a little bit of more of an exercise which will give you that understanding.
Last question.
I want to ask you the connection between fear and alcohol, and let me give you where I'm coming from. It starts with the theory that when you have a memory and you relive the memory or it comes to you, then it's restored and it's altered when you restore it. So I saw this experiment where a guy's really afraid of snakes, so they let him like a distance away and he starts to get a little bit of fear, so they give him this like date rape type of drug that destroys the memory of that. So when he rebuilds that memory, restores that memory, it's not the same as it was before. So they keep doing it and keep bringing him closer and closer in each episode, and he eventually has no fear of the snake. Now I'm thinking alcohol has that same function of altering your memory, and why not, when you go to like a social situation, first encounter that a small amount of fear, then go get a drink. What do you think of that?
I come from Gujarat. You probably don't know what it means. I come from Gujarat. It's a state in India, the westernmost state. It's the state where Mahatma Gandhi was born, and it is a dry state. Alcohol is illegal. So I come from a dry state. I have never even touched alcohol. So I wouldn't know much about alcohol, but going and getting a drink, there are so many fears. How much can you drink? How much can you drink? And whether it works the way you want to, because the moment alcohol enters your system, you are not in entire control of it. Most people that come out of the effect of alcohol, they are not happy people. Or that date rape kind of a drug or something. Yes, in the moment, temporarily, it is gone. But we have gathered here to ensure that, permanently we can conquer that fear. And permanently it will not. Yes, if you are inebriated, in that moment, it's gone, and then maybe somebody can help you restructure it, recreate it, and then since you don't have a real memory of it, it can be at times. But it is not stable, it is not sustainable, because the body does keep a store, a memory of certain experiences. Brain works differently, body works differently in some of these things. So faith is a much better cup to drink than the wine. In that moment, if you have faith, that is much better. And of course, the ideal would be the understanding of non-duality, because then, see, one is putting a band-aid or doing a surgery after something has happened. Non-duality, it will just absolutely erase. There is no ability of any kind of fear to set in. So we want to move towards that. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question. Once again, thank you also very much.